Good morning, everyone. I had a bit of a failed attempt to get started today here. So I'm in Tokyo and really just trying to create some good video content. The initial video that we came out here to do, which was unrelated to photography, ended up falling apart a little bit, kind of last minute. And I had Marshall out here to do some videos, so we figured we would do some photography videos. But so far, we're like day 3 in, and I don't think we've created anything remarkable yet. So this morning I woke up 6 a.m., went out for a photography adventure, a photography mission, really wanted to create some amazing stuff. Took a taxi into kind of like downtown, the most lit up Shinjuku area. And it turns out that they turned the lights off in the morning. So energy conscious here in Tokyo, which I do appreciate. But I was really hoping to it's kind of like nice rainfall, I guess, on everything. So it's going to be a really reflective pavement. And I figured with all the lights that it was going to look really, really amazing, fantastic for pictures. So I was so excited to get up, showered, got in the taxi and headed out there. And then as soon as I got there, I realized that it was a bit of a false start, that it wasn't going to be what I wanted it to be. So again, I kind of worked within the limits of what I had been given, what I gave myself. And I think I did create a few good photos. I don't know if those photos mean anything. I don't know if I should have taken those photos, but I created them. And I don't think they're going to bring joy and happiness to anyone. But I at least got out and did a thing. So I think there's something to be said to that, and got up early too. So today what I want to talk about is actually timing and when to create good images. We all know that the golden hour for portraits, for photos of people and just landscapes and really everything is kind of that number one time that we all aspire and that we all wish that we could just exist within that moment. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I know about other times that are a bit surprising, that do create amazing images. So today, sunrise, I knew it was going to be rainy. I knew it was going to be overcast. Overcast is typically, at least for portrait photographers, it's always that cliche, it's good to take photos when it's overcast, right? And for the most part, yes. Sadly, the images, I would say, in overcast environments are a little bit more boring than other images. I like the randomness of lighting. I like the way that the reason that I'm into environmental portraits is the way that everything just kind of bounces off each other, and sometimes things just work really well, and they'll work for that 5 minutes. We were in Grand Central Station in New York, and the way that the light was coming in, I'd never seen an image that the light came in exactly that way. To light up my couple specifically in the center of Grand Central Station. So did a long shutter, a 5-second exposure, got them stand completely still, and everybody else kind of blurred out around them a little bit. And that was just a product of the exact right time that we did not plan for, that we just saw this thing happening and we knew how to capitalize on it. So I think that there's something to be said to be that being super over prepared technically and just knowing how to handle any situation, when you do find yourself in those awesome, amazing situations, you can really knock it out of the park. So golden hour is kind of the easiest, that if you even can turn your camera to aperture priority, you can probably figure out how to take some amazing images around that time. What I am a little bit more into now is the opposite of golden hour, which is sunrise, because when you're out at sunrise, with the exception of kind of today that blew up a little bit, not the way that I wanted it to, but usually during sunrise, you're getting all that good light that you'd be getting from golden hour, but you're getting it in a time of day that there's not a lot of people around. And if you know me, I like images that are a lot cleaner. I don't really love street photography with thousands of people in it. So if you're in a busy environment like Tokyo here, to get outside at sunrise and get that nice golden light with not a lot of people around is a very good thing. Unfortunately, today the lights didn't come on. So a little bit not exactly what I was expecting. And then you just find yourself in an overcast environment. So what do you create within that overcast environment? And I think that when you're in one of those situations, that you really do focus a lot more on lines and compositions, and also finding things that you would not typically find. So it's almost kind of a blessing that when you go out and you expect to create something and you are forced to create something else, it really does take you out of the box that you're the most comfortable in to create better and more interesting work for yourself. And maybe that doesn't fit your brand. Maybe that's not going to be what you're going to put up on Instagram, that you're not going to promote all of this stuff. But I think the more things that you do, do make you a better photographer. So whatever you're able to create, whatever you're out creating, or you can go out and create tonight or tomorrow morning, I recommend that you do that just to continue to push your skills as a photographer. Another crazy, interesting thing that I've noticed is I think the lack of appreciation for blue hour, which is typically what happens kind of like right after golden hour, that as the sun comes down, that everything just kind of gets a little bit more blue. And I've noticed this like specifically, I'll speak to Yosemite National Park. So we're in Yosemite and it's like beautiful sunrise, sunset rather. And everything just looks amazing. If you've ever been to Yosemite, it's like literally the amusement park for photographers. So there's like 1,000 tripods set up pointed at Half Dome and 1,000 at Tunnel View. And then as the sun comes down, we're up at Tunnel View the first day that we got there. And the sunset's gone. It's like kind of that ambient blue. The sky is like a really, really nice kind of pastel-y blue. And it's like myself, Tim, Lindsay, and like one other photographer up there. And in my opinion, it's the nicest point of the day, and everybody else is pieced out because golden hour is done and they're over it. And what I like to do is just kind of stay a little bit longer. So if you go somewhere and there's a lot of photographers and you can outlast them for an extra hour, you're probably going to create stuff that, one, is unique because like everybody else, the mass populace has left. So you're not going to be seeing a lot of those images. And two, you're just going to be creating something that is a little bit different, that you're able to at least like kind of put your mark into. And I think by just like creating landscape images specifically in that time, and it might just, it sounds so simple, but by creating landscape images in that specific time, you really can create a strong visual identity. The other thing that I do like about blue hour and even just nighttime as you're kind of like leading into the night, is that you really do focus a little bit more on if you're doing long exposures, you're focusing more on each individual shutter press. And I think that this is a good thing for any photographer to be conscious of, that it's just so easy in digital just to go out and take like 5,000 photos today and come home and like a bunch of them are good, but you don't really know what to do with them because there's just so many. If you're out shooting at blue hour or you're shooting at nighttime and you're doing like 15 or 30 second or 8 minute or whatever you're into exposures, it really does, like every single time you press the shutter, you consciously have to think like, do I want to sit here for 45 seconds to let the shutter expose itself, or the digital film sensor to expose itself? And do I want to wait like a minute to create this image? Is it worth it? And I think that that's something that we should all be thinking about regardless of where we are. I know that for sure, if you've watched any of my like on-camera wedding day videos, that I have photographed like, I take a lot of images and I take a lot of images really fast. And you're kind of seeing, I would say, the most burst mode part of the day if you are watching those on-camera videos, because I'm showing the stuff that like when we're actually doing photography. A lot of the other parts of the day, I'm really not doing as much, or I'm not doing like 6 frames, 8 frames a second, or however fast I shoot. I don't think I shoot that fast, maybe, but it's like, I would say 2 frames every second over like 20 seconds. And that does seem like a lot. It seems like you're playing Call of Duty. But I think if you're able to just really be more conscious of why you're taking images, why things are working, and not just like if you're in a new place. I think like the biggest example that comes to my mind is the first time that I'm from Toronto. There's no mountains in Toronto. The first time I was in Calgary and I drove from Calgary out into like Banff National Park, as the mountains start to arrive, you take like 1,000 photos of the mountains like way out there because they're amazing. And then as you get closer, you're taking more and more and more images. And then eventually you're like kind of in it and you just get the best shot, and it's that single frame. And you didn't really need like, you don't need all of the images leading up to it. So I think just like waiting for the best image possible, or at least like something that is in the top 80% of what's possible, or 20%, I guess, and not doing like the 80% of shots that you don't need to take, and just taking the top 20%. And obviously you're going to have to learn what works, what doesn't work by taking a lot of frames. But the longer you're into it, just really do try to kick back a little bit and understand when it is worth it to take an image. This morning when I went out, I don't know if it was like really worth any of the images that I was taking, because they were under the preconceived idea of what I wanted to create whenever I left the hotel. Once I started taking images that fit the environment and fit exactly what was happening at that specific moment in time, things started to come together a little bit better. And it did not fit my original like my ambitions for this morning, but that is fine. I learned new and interesting things, and it was an excuse for me to get out there with my camera. So whether it is overcast, whether it is golden hour, whether it is blue hour, or nighttime, or just the middle of the day, there are opportunities everywhere. The best middle of the day opportunity, and the thing that I think maybe because photographers, we do focus a little bit too much on golden hour. If you're ever out at like beautiful Caribbean resort somewhere with like crystal clear water, don't wait for golden hour. That's the one time that you can like shoot all day, because you want that sun penetrating the water and making it look as clear as it possibly can. So don't wait to golden hour to shoot in every environment. Spend some time kind of working with each individual lighting situation in an environment, and then kind of take all of those things that you learn forward to the next place that you go. So it's pretty clear if you're doing, I guess, portrait shoots, golden hour is the best technically, but also if you want to create things that are a little bit more interesting, maybe go towards the end of golden hour and start to create those like dark and more moody images. The last thing I'm going to talk about specifically for travel photography is also time of year, and something that I didn't really give too much thought to, I guess. And whenever I'm planning a trip, and I have, usually the way that I plan things is that I'll be like, okay, I have 3 weeks off in March. Like, Lindsay, what are we going to do with these 3 weeks? And we'll kind of have a look around and be like, all right, so March, like what's cool and interesting to do that is only happening in March? And maybe cherry blossoms in Japan are happening kind of like in that time period. And maybe that starts to become the trip. Or if it's the fall and you've never been to like through the Tennessee mountains in the fall, it's absolutely amazing. So maybe if you have a couple weeks out in the fall, focus on where you can go that is the absolute best at that specific period of time. There are just so many possibilities of different places you can go, different time specifics that you can shoot at, but really just kind of start experimenting and figuring out what the best ones are for you and what you like the best. So don't let anyone tell you that golden hour is when you need to shoot portraits. If you're really into something new and interesting, if you want to shoot that harsh sun, that midday, that direct flash, don't let people tell you that you can't shoot direct flash just because it's not flattering and it's not the best way to do it. If you like that look, there's somebody else out there that is probably going to look like that look as well. So that is all for today. I hope that you enjoyed the podcast. I'll be back again tomorrow on the Daily Podcast. See you then.